Tonight, a call on President Akufo-Addo and former President John Mahama to play lead roles in efforts to disband party militias.
President Akufo-Addo and His Excellency President John Mahama, everything will start and end with them. They can make or break Ghana. They should not sit down and allow the political kingpins with diabolical ideas, people who only think about themselves and their bellies, to hide behind them to throw this nation into confusion.
We'll get to hear from the Ghana Pentecostal and Charismatic Council, which is calling on Ghanaians to reject any party which harbors militias. Meanwhile, a group claiming to be members of the pro-NPP militia group DI, exposed in the Joy News documentary, speaking up for the first time since the airing of the investigative piece.
DI is a group which helps the unemployed in various endeavors. Afforestation, community policing, etc.
We have more, plus a condemnation of the operations of the group at the former seat of government by an NPP MP for Legekuku.
Their history of having met and operated at the Christianborg Castle is unacceptable. It is a grave error that shouldn't have existed.
All that and more here in tonight's edition of Top Story, brought to you by Bond Savings and Loans. Your success, our passion. Gasem Cements, the nation builder. Vodafone, the future is exciting, ready. And Nationwide Medical Health Insurance, your healthcare family. I am Emefa Apau. And it's been 20 days since President Akufo-Addo made the statement when he demanded that the NDC and the NPP sit to talk about ending the menace of political party militia in Ghana. However, these 20 days have been filled with a lot of back and forth between the president and the NDC chairman, Samuel Ofosu-Ampofo, over the addition of mediators in the talks. Tonight, there are calls for the president and former President John Dramani Mahama to take the lead in the efforts to have their respective party militias disbanded. President of the Ghana Pentecostal and Charismatic Council, Reverend Professor Paul Frimpong Manso, says these two individuals should not allow their followers to hide behind them to perpetuate political violence in the country.
His Excellency President Akufo-Addo and His Excellency President John Mahama, everything will start and end with them. They can make or break Ghana. They should not sit down and allow the political kingpins with diabolical ideas, with selfish interests, people who only think about themselves and their bellies, to hide behind them to throw this nation into confusion. And you should not succumb to the selfish, greedy interests of party kings, kingmakers, kingpins to destroy this nation. All Ghanaians should think about the future of this nation, think about jobs, think about education, think about national interest, think about sanitation and things that will promote this country, rather than being vigilantes to do things that will destroy and break this country. Boko Haram is destroying Nigeria. It started as a vigilante group. I'm saying that the well to the wise is enough. And you, the media, just as Joy has already started, come and join us. And all the civil societies, come and join Ghana Pentecostal and Charismatic Council for us to completely uproot this evil of vigilantism, which I call militia and the leaders' warlords. We should get rid of these warlords in our national politics.
You have the president of the Ghana Pentecostal and Charismatic Council, Reverend Professor Paul Frimpong Manso. Meanwhile, an NPP member of Parliament for Legekuku, Dr. Okoboy, has condemned the use of the Christianborg Castle by the DI group for their training activities. The group has revealed, or as revealed in the Joy News documentary, had used the facility for the activities for months. Dr. Okoboy spoke on TV3.
There are people who take advantage of the relationship they have with the government. That's when they were in opposition, my brother, to misbehave. Even in my own constituency, there are people who, because of their relationship with the party, they show signs of misdemeanor. They try to misbehave sometimes. And as a leader, I go the extra mile to put them in check. Because when they misbehave, because they are known to be associated with Dr. Okoboy or the party, the negative reportage will come to me. Right? I get what I'm saying.
Right.
Now, this I group, their operation or history of having met and operated at the Christianborg Castle. My brother, right, it's unacceptable. It is a grave error that shouldn't have existed. But because I appreciate how politics is done in this country, I'm not surprised that somebody who was related to us managed to bring people there under the guise of giving a job. Another revelation that national security was engaging them, trying to get them out, tells you that we knew them. And honestly, they were treated with kid's glove because of their relationship with us. The leniency with which we dealt with them is bringing us all this, negative reportage. Governments must make sure that they are very strict and firm in dealing with party people who try to create their own turf because of the relationship they have with us. Unfortunately, I have said it, because we have a system where people sometimes don't trust the police. They work with individuals who they think protect them. When they come to power, they want to give them a space to operate. As we grow as a country, the police must assert itself.
So that's Lejokuku MP, Dr. Okoboy. Now, they are mounting calls because this campaign to disband party militias is going nowhere. And they are mounting calls for a dialogue between the two leading political parties on a comprehensive roadmap in dealing with the militia menace. The Civic Forum Initiative, for instance, yesterday, we know, they held a press conference. You can listen to Angela Dramina-Boaje and Major Retired Nika Coleman.
We call on the NPP and NDC to demonstrate good faith towards the dialogue by formally dissociating themselves from political vigilantes and recommitting themselves to fight against electoral violence, impunity, and injustice.
Starting with a precondition, it means that you are taking an entrenched position, and it will take a lot more time to climb down to a common ground. That is not what we want in this instance. We want to see the two parties demonstrating their love for country.
So that's Major General Retired Nika Coleman and Angela Dramina-Boaje yesterday. So a number of civil society organizations, at least by the last count, we've had about 15 of them making this call that the NDC and the NPP should show good faith and, of course, meet at the dialogue table. But the executive director of IDEG, Dr. Emmanuel Akwete, remember, IDEG was mentioned by the NDC as part of the CSOs that they are hoping will mediate this. Dr. Emmanuel Akwete, however, believes that civil society is key in facilitating efforts at achieving this object of disbanding party militias. He tells Joy News the reason the meeting between the two parties hasn't happened is because government and the NPP do not have the machinery to convene such a meeting. He spoke to Bernice Abu-Beidou-Lansah on Joy News Desk.
Meeting not coming off quickly is an institutional problem, is a structural problem. You see, the president spoke as head of state. The instrument for the head of state to call parties to dialogue, okay, and those who put the process forward quickly for the talk is usually the civil service. The party machinery or bureaucracy is not equipped for this kind of assignment. No, they can't. So the expectation that immediately it was said they are quickly coming up and so on, they do not have that bureaucracy, both parties. What makes me so optimistic is that it still can be done. That's why we talked about technical facilitation. We believe strongly that bilateral talks is very important. It has to start. I think that civil society organizations with the competence to do this, some have been involved in promoting peace in other countries, in war zones. Let them come together and start talking to the two parties. We don't belong to either. They are important to our democracy. It is important that the talk takes place because it's going to open up to so many other things that would strengthen the system. So how do we go? You cannot say the president is stalling it. Actually, the president doesn't have the machinery to convene it. And the parties don't have the machinery.
So the NDC wraps into the president.
It's good. The NDC, in fact, the way they wrote and so on, actually demonstrated their commitment. But it doesn't answer or fill the gap of the machinery, administrative machinery that ought to have been there, trusted by both, to put the thing in place. We need the dialogue like oxygen in our democracy. We have to talk, we have to really get to the eye of the matter.
The Executive Director of IDEG, Dr. Emmanuel Akwete, there speaking to Bernice Abu-Beidou-Lansah on Joy News, on Joy News Desk on Joy News. Now, let's speak to the chief scribes of the two political parties. We have Mr. John Boadu, and of course, we'll be getting Mr. Johnson Asiedu-Nketia on the phone as well. We're grateful for your time, Mr. John Boadu, here on Top Story. So, today is the 20th day or so since the president directed your party, of which he's also a member of, that you should initiate processes, at least meet with the NDC, and then work out modalities to disbanding the militia groups within the two political parties. And all we've heard is phone conversations between the two chairmen of the party. Is that the case?
That is the case, but that's not the end of the case. We've had discussions with the NDC, and it was around the time that the NDC chairman had some few difficulties that he was sorting it out. And I think that where we are and the kind of commitments that has been shown by the NDC themselves, I think that we can quickly put our heads together and quickly convene it. Just a major meeting to agree on just some few terms of reference. And if it calls for us as two major political parties to resolve it, why not? If there's a need for any mediator, which I think that maybe it's far too fetched, but we still can look at it, yeah.
So, as far as this maiden meeting you talk of, when it is concerned, I should say, when is it going to happen? Do we know? Has it been established?
We've not agreed on it from both parties. I think that our chairman has been talking to the chairman of the NDC, and I believe that by end of week, if we are setting about our schedules, or early next week, we'll be able to find some space and discuss.
So we keep making reference to these conversations or phone conversations between the two chairmen of the two parties. As far as these conversations are concerned, how fruitful has it been, you'd say?
It happened around the time that our brothers from the NDC were having some few challenges. They've just finished their presidential elections, and they've put together their program of meeting their lost flag bearers of their party. And it was around that time that their chairman had also had some difficulties. The police has invited him and all that. So I think that may be the reason why we've not been able to firm a date for our meeting. And I don't think that this should take some time to do so.
But Mr. Boadu, really, many Ghanaians are wondering that if it takes so much time to at least, firm up a date for a meeting between you two, how can you assure us that you are even committed to disbanding these militia groups within your political parties?
You talk as if the group is sitting somewhere, statement is enough to just disband them. It is not like that. I'm so happy about, first of all, the NDC acknowledging the platform that has been offered by the president for us to start that conversation. It means that there's hope in sight, even for them to go ahead to chastise their member for insisting that they are not going to disband their hawks or their group. It's also a plus, and I think that these are good pointers for a good discussion. It is not something that you just go into it because you are demanding for it. No, it is something that you must build the trust, and I think that for this time around, listening to them, listening to their posture, I think that will be able to get somewhere. Yeah.
Well, Mr. Boadu, it's interesting that you say that these groups are not sitting somewhere. It's not just easy to disband them. But these are the same groups when you politicians need, you know where they are. At least when it comes to that time, they are sitting somewhere and you call on them to do your bidding.
If I am traveling and I call my party people to go with me, I'm not going to call the police or the army to protect me if I'm traveling, particularly if I'll travel that will eat into the evening. And that's exactly what you are talking about. It is not as if there's some group sitting somewhere called X or Y. You must understand what it is. Sometimes the way you describe it looks as if you don't appreciate it. That's why it's important we sit down to look at the details of it.
Mr. Boyd, let me hold you on and quickly bring in the General Secretary of the NDC as well, Mr. Johnson Asiedu Nketia. We are grateful for your time here on Top Story, Mr. Asiedu Nketia. So you've asked CS, or at least we've seen the back and forth, the letters, the trading of letters between your chairman, for instance, and the president. That's you've written a latest letter. But you've asked CSOs to join, at least you named a number of them that you would want to be part of mediation for this intended meeting between the NDC and the NPP. But they are saying, at least some of them are saying that at least start the process. Then you, the NDC, can make the demand. Good call?
Your line is echoing, so I'm not sure I quite heard everything that you said.
Okay, so I will take it again. Hopefully this should be better. Is it better now, Mr. Asiedu Nketia?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm saying that at least we've witnessed the back and forth of letters between you and the president. Today is the 20th day since he asked that at least the two parties meet. And I'm saying that in your letters that you've written to the president, at least you've justified why you need certain CSOs to be part of the mediation. But some of them have spoken, at least yesterday we had some of them saying that at least the NDC should go to the table. There should be a preliminary meeting between yourself and the NPP. Then you can start making those demands that you're making, at least as a sign of good faith.
Thank you very much and good evening to listeners. We have not been invited to any meeting at all. That is something that must be cleared. The president made the declaration and there was no invitation for any meeting. And we felt enthused about the prospect of resolving the problem. So we on our side wrote to the president that yes, we are happy about this. We think that it's good that the calls we have made all along have now been heard, and that the problem is going to be resolved, with a national effort. But we don't think that the approach is proper. So our suggestion is that instead of calling NDC and NPP to go and do a meeting, we rather think that we must establish a better and broader framework. Because everybody in this country knows that there is bad faith between the two leading political parties, unless you don't want to face realities. So every meeting we emerge from, either from IPAC or from other places, we will come and everybody will be saying something different. So if you put these two representatives of these two groups together in a meeting and they come out and everybody is saying a different thing, where do you go from there? So we think that this is a very serious matter. So, and there are stakeholders who can help to mediate. So let us establish a proper framework so that we all come before and participate and have a final solution to this problem.
So can we have that proper framework when you at least the two sides meet?
Mm-hmm. Come again. NPP has written inviting us to any meeting.
Well, we'll come to that invitation, but to buttress, to at least follow up on this, a submission that you made, I'm saying that, can we establish that proper framework, as some have suggested, when at least the two sides meet, then at least all of us can know what demands you're making, then the meeting would have started.
To establish a proper framework. It is the president that has suggested something, and we are saying that he being the leader, he is a leader in MPP, and a leader in government. And we are saying that this issue goes beyond NPP and NDC as political parties. It involves government as well. So the nature of his position as a leader in NPP and a leader in government.
Okay.
He will play
we seem to be losing you along the line, Mr. Asiedu Nketia. If you could reposition yourself, then we can have a better line to you. Can you hear me, Mr. Asiedu Nketia?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, it's much better. But there are those who are of the view that it looks like the NDC is deliberately making it impossible for your side to meet the NPP.
Knows that it is the president who is not interested in the talks at all. Because the suggestions that we have made, they have not pointed at the suggestions that will be harmful or offensive to the discussion. If you have a discussion and you have your points to make and you are on the right course, why are you afraid that other people come to participate? What is the problem? So the one who is preventing from participating is the one who has the problem. It is not the one who thinks that we are okay, let the whole world come to participate. Why should we be the problem?
So is it that the NDC and the NPP on your own, you cannot work out modalities to disband these militia groups that are within your fold?
If it is that easier to disband, why did the president not make a declaration in the State of the Nation address that I, as the president of the Republic, pronounces that all militia groups are disbanded in this country? Why didn't he make that? Would it have been necessary for parties to meet at all?
Well, but it's interesting.
Made that declaration. Would it have been necessary for parties to meet? But he realizes that things that need certain expertise to be able to handle, so that the fallout doesn't become massive. And so we are saying that those who have the expertise are available in the country. We have Kofi Annan Peacekeeping and Training Institute, which has a lot of accumulated expertise and experience in this market. You have the National Peace Council that is by law charged with this responsibility of dealing with such problems. And besides that, you have civil society groups, political civil society groups, which have also, you have NCCE, constitutional bodies, and so on. So we are saying, and then faith-based organizations who are stakeholders in this matter. So if we are calling on the president to make it look like a national approach so that everybody participates, why should we turn around and be blaming NDC as the group that is frustrating the talk, instead of blaming the president who insists that only two parties should go and meet? The parties that are in contention should go and meet. What process is he referring to? Is he referring to our traditional way of dealing with problems? Is he referring to our legal way of dealing with problems? Or is he referring to political way of dealing with problems? None of these things will support an approach which says that NDC, MPP go into a room and then begin disbanding vigilante.
But it's a good time to bring in Mr. Boadu. Well, let's bring in Mr. Boadu, because you've made some calls that at least we need to get a reaction from him as well. Mr. Boadu, if you're still there, at least there are concerns. At least you've heard Mr. Asiedu Nketia say that. What will it hurt, or what will we lose if we bring in these mediators? Because I heard you say earlier that you support the president's call. Is there anything wrong with bringing in mediators so that we have a national call?
I'm saying that my colleague is trying his luck or carrying his luck too far. I can't see any reason why we cannot meet as two major political parties, have discussions, and if it is in his view that these organizations that he mentioned are the ones that they will trust and have the capacity to mediate, why can't we do that? Is he expecting the president to be the one to call these organizations that is to come and mediate between us? I think that we should have the capacity to do this. They have 10 chance for relying on the president to call this meeting, so that when the meeting or we are not able to reach agreement, then they will put it on the president. I think that is unfair. The president has asked, let us sit down, let us have discussions. Has initiated the call to the chairman of the NDC. They were having challenges. They couldn't come to an agreed date. I don't think writing to president will solve the problem. Instead of even writing to the president, they collaborating to us. You understand?
But you were supposed to write to them to invite them. That letter has not come, has it?
I'm saying that we are not going to behave as if we are the headmasters of or the headmaster of political parties in Ghana. So in such cases, we will have to talk. We have to know their schedules, what time is appropriate for them. You cannot just say, I'll write to NDC, let us have meeting on Friday, let us have meeting on Tuesday. We should have a discussion. Let us know the days that is appropriate to both of us. Then we can meet. I think that this should not break bones. This should not allow us to be calling for some international organizations. So it is the president that they are expecting to initiate this or what?
Well, Mr. Boadu, we'll let you off, and finally we'll give you the last word, Mr. Asiedu Nketia. So you heard Mr. Boadu. The two of you can decide on these CSOs or mediators that you want. You don't need the president to give that go-ahead.
Yes, we need the president, because the president is making it look like it is NDC MPP that has this problem. There are three parties. There's the government that is supporting the vigilante groups. When the expose came about the training in the castle, hasn't MPP come out to disown the I group as an MPP vigilante? They have come out to disown it, and yet it is a vigilante group, which is supported by the government. So if we had met as two parties and have decided that the parties, the vigilante groups that we recognize have been disbanded, what would have happened to the I group that is training in
Mr. Asiedu Nketia, we'll leave it here. We're grateful for your time. You heard the two general secretaries of the NPP and the NDC, Johnson Asiedu Nketia, and of course, Mr. John Boadu. We're indeed grateful for your time. But tonight, there's some defense from a group of individuals in the Ashanti region claiming to be members of the I group, speaking for the first time since the airing of the documentary Militias in the Heart of the Nation. 65-year-old Margaret Owusu says the group has in the past got unemployed young men into community police and other agencies.
We help the unemployed. Our members are drafted into the afforestation modules, community policing and the like. Over 200 people have benefited so far. We are not violent. We are not a militia group. We have women amongst us. They used to train at the castle, yes, but they kept the place clean. They have even moved from there.
That's a 65-year-old member of the I group. They're speaking in Kumasi today. We'll get more on that because this is the first time that he's speaking, and that's a 65-year-old woman who claims she's a member of